to That's What She Said, where we'll spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region with your host, Christiana Malacara.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of That's What She Said. Thank you for joining me today. When we have That's What She Said episodes, I really try to kind of read. I read the comments, I read the emails, I read all the posts ahead of time, and I'm like, what is it that this community wants to hear? What is it that we need to hear? And with this entire show, we talk about empowering and uplifting and helping each other grow. And that's exactly what you're doing today by tuning in to That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara. And I very much appreciate that, because what that shows me is that I'm living in a community full of women, full of individuals who are willing to invest in themselves and grow. So that way we all can prosper and be happy and all of those rainbow and unicorn things. Um, as you know, and That's What She Said days, I take a reflection on my week and just, what was the good, what was the bad, what was the ugly, and what can we change and what can we talk about today on the show. And I was learning, and I have been learning more and more about the power of words. And being in the many avenues of journalism that I am, words are powerful, good and bad, at any age, at any walk of life. But the most important words are the words that you tell yourself. The most important words are the words you tell yourself. And the way that our brain, our internal algorithm is set is, those negative comments is, this is awful. That's what's going to stick. But if we just start kind of just uplifting ourselves in a better, more positive way and using our words as a tool to internalize our thoughts, we can all have wonderful days and make powerful changes internally and evolve. Just like our wonderful guest that we have today, who has, oh my goodness, she when I first talked to our guest, she was very vocal, very chatty, so I'm excited for that. And she uses words in a way to empower herself that I haven't seen before. She just dug herself this entire platform of just self excitement. So we have Mitzi Brown as our guest today. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited. Super excited.
We've been planning this for a while.
Yes, we have. And then things changed because now I've moved.
Exactly. So you literally evolved in the time that we were talking to the present day. So, Mitzi, can you tell us how the Great Lakes Bay region would know and recognize you?
Well, I was born in Detroit, but raised in Bay City. Went to school there, went to Handy High School, graduated from there. I've worked in Bay City, Midland, and Saginaw, so I worked around the region. Now I haven't worked in Mount Pleasant yet, though. There's time. I could make that route. So I've been in a lot of nonprofit work, and then I ended my career in with the Saginaw Spirit with the Memorial Cup, and just retired in June.
Well, congratulations on that.
I know. I think what a way to go, right? Should I ever go back to work? I can't top that.
You did. You went out with a bang. That was a big project.
Yes, it was. It truly was.
What was your role?
I was their volunteer manager, so I was in charge of the outreach and managing over 800 volunteers. And we had, I think, over a dozen businesses that came out for a day, and scheduling them and training them and making sure they had a good time and stuff too. And then all the guests that attended Fan Fest. Yeah, it was Fan Fest. That's what it was called. That they all knew what was going on. It was fun. I had a great team. Created a team right away. We all know how that is. You can't do it alone. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So creating that team in your past careers, you said you worked around the region. Can you tell us some of those things that you did?
Yeah. So when I'm a mother of four, so my children are all adults in their 30s. I say that I'm like, feels old to say that. I remember when I was 30, and so I went into back to school later in life with my youngest, and I went out of church work. Started to volunteer there with the Catholic Diocese, and I followed my education that way and got my bachelor's in pastoral administration, and started to work with couples in marriage, prepare, and enrich. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Both to help couples, but at the same time it helped my marriage with my husband and stuff. And we were married 40 years. And then from there, I just jumped in a nonprofit. I was at like Shelter House, domestic violence and sexual assault service facility. I was there. I was at United Way of Midland County. I went to the Boys and Girls Club and Habitat for Humanity. I'm trying, is that it? It seems like a lot. I don't like to sit still. I like to, like, I come in, whenever I interview, I always tell everybody, like, if you want to go slow to get somewhere, I'm not your person, and I'm okay with that. But if you you want to do something quickly, I'm your person. I can get you there fast. Keep moving.
So you have these deep roots in the community.
Yes.
It sounds like it started out with volunteerism in your church. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, well, when I was very active too with my kids in their school as a parent. So I volunteered at the school system many years, many years ago too. So I just, with the church, I was there, started out as their, what did they call me? Oh, their liturgical coordinator. That's what it was. So I helped with all the liturgies and training the Eucharistic ministers and the altar servers and preparing for funerals. So when families wanted to be involved and the wedding pieces and they want to do this and where they had to stand and, things like that. And then it evolved to where then I ended up getting hired with my degree and they paid me for it. And I really liked it. Which church is an event. So I guess an event planner is now what they called it later. And I think you get degrees in them now, but I don't know if they ever did many years ago.
Yeah, church is an event. I would
Yeah.
say so. It happens all the time, but it's most definitely an event.
Yeah. And everybody's got a part to play or do and be. And yeah. So I started there. Yeah, it was good. It was a good, I enjoyed it. All of it. All the stuff I've done, I've enjoyed.
Okay, so we're already going to go here. How is it that you can enjoy so many different things?
I love change. Most people don't like change, and I love it. Sometimes I don't want to say I've ever really kicked and screamed about change, but I kind of go, oh. And then I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's changing. So I get that apprehension that, oh, but I'm like, oh, but wait, what's behind that door? What does it look like next? So I don't do well with stagnant or status quo at all. And, even in my marriage, it's the same way. My kids were out here, they'd be like, oh yeah, like we had dessert first. And they go, why are we doing that? I go, oh, because we can change it up. We're having dessert for dinner first. You're 6, 7, 9 years old. Let's do it. Why not? So just little things. So
love that. I love that. So when it comes to change, when most people think of change, right? We already talked about it. They get scared. They get worried. They're concerned. They're like, I don't know. I'm comfortable where I'm at. What do you think it was for you that made you so comfortable with the idea of change?
Oh, good question. I think I've always been, I think if my mom could say it is like, if they told me don't jump, you could break an ankle, I would jump and see if my ankle broke. So I know people think like, well, that's not really changed, but it is, because I was pushing the envelope all the time to see what really does happen. Does it really happen that way? Do you really? No, I don't break an ankle. Like I've ran with suckers and I've never choked on a sucker. So, you think of all those, and they're just, so I don't know if it's there that I've always pushed the envelope, because that was my mom. She'd say, you were a child that always did just not the opposite, but you challenged everything, like I did. I'm sure I probably asked her one time why we couldn't have dessert first. Like, why can't we? Who says it has to be last? And now when I go to functions, you'd laugh. I go to any big function, and if they put dessert on my table, oh, I am eating it before that person even begins speaking. People look at me and I go, what are you waiting for? It is delicious. Just have at it.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. So you briefly said that you went back to school when you had children.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, that was a big sigh. All right. So let's unpack that a little bit.
So I love education. When I grew up, the opportunity was, General Motors was a big, strong force back in the day. And so options were you were going to college, or you went to General Motors to work, or you got married and had a family. Those were, in my little tiny world of a family of 9 strong Italians, that's what I thought I would do. So I chose the marriage route and the kid route. Did not like school at all in high school. I did bare again, there's that, why do I have to do a homework? What's the point? I'll just tell you what I want to know. I'll tell you what I know. But anyway, so was not a good student. But then later in life, like the kids started to get older and I'm like, should I? And I was volunteering and the church offered to help pay for it, thought I'd be good at it. So I delved into, out of all things, it's crazy, my journey when I think of it, was theology. So I did a lot of theology, which I still kind of go, it was great because it's really good for me and everything I've done. But it's kind of weird when I think of how I was as a kid.
Yeah.
There was no holiness going on in here. There was all like just the opposite, the rebellion, all the questions. And so I ended up going that route, and it was good. I mean, I did a lot of Christian morality and different things like that. It was good. It was a good journey. But I was working on my master's, and then I tapped out. Again, that rebellion. My master's, I remember they said I'd have to do a 50-page, oh God, I can't remember the word they use, a 50-page, I say report, but I know it wasn't report, and present it to a panel, almost like a doctorate. And I goes, what's up? My question was, what's up with 50 pages? What if I can do it in 2?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you have to have this many citations of like where you got your information. I goes, well, that's just ridiculous. But
Who's setting these rules and why do I have to abide by them?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I checked out.
So if we're talking about who's setting these rules and how do I abide by them, but then you ended up in the church.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Share. How is that a connection?
I think for me, when I think back of it, besides the support system, right, that's there. So I had a very, very dear friend of mine, Jim Heller, who was a priest with the Saginaw Diocese. We became best friends, so I had that empowerment piece, right? Somebody who was telling me what they saw in me that I didn't see. So that's like when I hear of empowerment, I think of stuff like that. Somebody has the truth to tell you what they see, and okay to tell you that I'm not seeing it. Sell me on it too. So it's not always the positive that you want. It's empowering you to really reflect. So I think he saw in me something that I was good at that I didn't. I struggled with the women not being welcome, but at this time we had Ken Utner was the bishop, and he was just a phenomenal man on his own. That he was knocking down doors and making changes. And I was like, okay, this could be good. I think I can do this. It's okay. There are some rules you can't always change. Some things you can't always do. So let's try this. And so But again, the rules I didn't follow. I pushed all those rules in the church,
It sounds like we're questioning a little bit of authority here. And you started out the conversation by saying everything I did, I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So, questioning authority and being able to be confident in yourself. But let's go back a little bit to that definition you gave, empowering. You
Okay.
said that you had a role model in your life, a mentor almost in your life that you allowed them to look at a lens and then you reflected. And mentoring, empowerment. Can you define that for us again?
So I define empowerment for me. There's always like 3 factors I think of is it's always faith in me. I have to have faith that I can do this. And then I have to love myself. If I cannot empower me and look at myself and love myself, that empowerment, it just kind of rolls off my back. I don't really let it sink in. And I'll, like an example, somebody will say, you look great today. And I'm like, what are you talking about? My hair is a mess. I'm not liking what I got on. We all do this as women all the time.
We do.
Right? But if you like rock an outfit and you walk out the door going, God, my hair's perfect, man. I am going to just kick some butt today. I'm ready to go. You've empowered yourself. Then when you see me and you add to that empowerment. So it was me beginning the day. Anyway, so that's my love of self. And then the courage to grab that, what I believe in me and move on. So that's, I guess I think of that for me. So when I did the church route and the theology thing, even today when I tell people what my bachelor's in, they go, really, you were in the church? Like it does not jive with me. Like,
Okay.
it's like puzzle pieces, like you're trying to put them together and they're like, just make it fit because I'm done trying to figure this out. But I think selfishly for me, with my, like I said, the Jim, who just believed in me and gave me the tools, but I questioned so much with the Catholic Church and the stories. And I mean, I went to a Catholic elementary school for 8 years, and we had nuns and we had priests, and it was just a matter of like, you do, you don't, yeah. But I got to finally question all these things, like my one question was always like, why do you all think God's in a church? I don't get it. Why is he in this building? And Jim would just look at me, well, he's not just in the building. And I went, what? I was an adult asking these questions, but I was raised as a child in this thing that God was in a building, or, and you had to do certain things to, and so he helped open those doors to where, faith is all about questioning, right? You got to question.
Jokingly, I feel like I need to go find one of these nuns now.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I need you on my show. That's a
You
follow-up.
should. You should. It was.
Be like, remember this student?
It is. And I know, like, there's been, just controversial and terrible things that have gone on and stuff like that. But that's a crazy world and it's sad. But no, all the things that I've done or questioned or happened have shaped me into who I am. And even though there was some mistakes along the way, I love me. I do. I love me. And people might think that's conceited, but I'm like, I don't care. I love me. I'm all right. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. I'll get there.
That's important. That's
Yeah.
important to love yourself.
Yeah.
So when you were going through, the job in the church, you said you kind of worked with marriage counseling
Mhm.
and you questioned a lot of things in the church. So I guess two-part question: in the church and then in your marriage, did any of those questions get resolved?
For me, yes. I don't know for the church. I won't speak for them. I was pushing more and more to have them embrace the fact of getting out of the building to let marriages take place outside of the church building itself, and they didn't want anything to do with that. So since then, I became myself a ordained minister. So I do it on my own. So I marry people, and so I can bring all the tools that I have from the church. There again, there's that authority saying you can't, and I'm like, oh, but wait, I can. I didn't just do it this way. So I started to do that. But they, like at the church I was at, more women became more involved, and so there was some really pivotal moments that took place that I saw evolve along with, the leaders of the church and stuff. So, yeah, it was good. And then what was your second part of the question?
With your marriage. So you said you worked through, or
Yeah.
what was your role when it came to the marriage counseling?
So we did, it was called Marriage Prepare and Enrichment. So couples would take about 6 to 8 classes with me, preparing for marriage prior to the marriage. And then we had a couple to couple program afterwards that I had trained couples or gave them tools. I don't want to say train, you can't train anybody for a marriage, but gave them tools, and they would meet with these couples after marriage and have dinners with them. And they would together work on communication. Let's see, it was communication, finances, goals, family, friends, all the things, if anybody who's married out there knows, they go through. They're just real issues and stuff. So my role was I would facilitate all that. But in the best part is it's that I'd help these couples, but then it made me take all those tools back home to my marriage. And my husband would say, I go, hey, let's do this exercise. And he'd be like, oh, And I go, no, it's really a good one. Let's just check it out. And I know, not kicking and screaming, but he just was that kind of guy. But he would do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it taught me to be a better listener and to, I said I was Italian once, and we all talk loud and fast. And we're all right, we're good with that. I had to learn how to not do that to my husband, because he was more of a introvert in a sense, more of a, I'm just going to hear the whole story, and I'd rattle off 10 more facts, and I'm like, okay, it's enough. All right.
He's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I don't have to keep hammering, and that, yeah. So, I think it's strengthened our marriage to get through. We've had struggles like any couple or whatever, and yeah,
When
forgiveness
it came
is a huge one.
when it comes to okay.
Yeah.
When it came to teaching these classes, do you recommend that for women to take marriage classes? And
Uh,
is that with a couple or individual?
I would recommend it, and I would do it as a couple. Always as a couple. Because I mean, the stuff that we talked about and the honesty that was shared, and I worked with over 200 couples. That's when I stopped counting and stuff. So I have done a lot of couples. Um, it's good. There are great tools out there. You have to, because and I can't even now. Like I have couples who will call me back and just say, "Hey, Mitzi, can we just do a quick session? Can you get us back on the page of communication because we're far apart?" And I go, "Sure." And it's just tools to have them just kind of stop and listen. And I love it because they're investing in their relationship, right? And we
That's
we
it.
all take advantage of, guilty as charged when I say that. So I say we, I'm the first part of the we, take advantage of how that person will always be there, right? You know,
Yes.
yeah,
That's true. People need people, and I was just
yeah,
telling, the producer, I was like, after around during 2020, that's when I think it realized there was a little pivot there. It was like people need people,
mhm,
and every person needs at least one person, your go-to, right?
yeah,
And sometimes a friendship, a marriage, sometimes it's your
yeah,
mom, sometimes it's the neighbor.
yeah,
For my little ones, they have each other, you
mhm,
know, and
yeah.
that's phenomenal. So let's go back to the, marriage component. You said forgiveness.
Oh,
That was the last one you said.
yeah,
And how is that internalized with women? Because I mean, speaking from experience here, like I said, you said, first one in the we is usually me.
yep.
Forgiveness with yourself. Can you give women a little bit of a tip in that? We have 2 minutes left in this first segment.
Okay. So, like granting forgiveness and to yourself is one way, and another is to grant it to someone else. Because I think we use the word "I'm sorry" way too much. I mean, if I bump into you, I say the word "sorry," and I'm like, "No, excuse me,"
Oh,
right? I think sorry gets stuck. So, and I would work this with my husband. I would tell him like whatever. I'm trying to think if I was just like harsh with my words, and I would say to him stuff like, "Hey, I am sorry because what I said to you was wrong." And a lot of times he'd say, "That's okay." And I'd go, "No, it's not. And I need you when you're ready to forgive me because then I could forgive myself. If not, it sits there." So he learned and I learned too. So when that hurt came, we started to say things like that. It did hurt, but I forgive you. And when you can forgive, it's crazy how it just takes it off your head and heart. And that. So it just so for me, when I make a mistake now, it's like we do it. We say the wrong thing. We might hurt somebody's feelings. And it's like, all right, I really, really have to apologize to this person. And when I do intentionally, then I can forgive me. It's a real powerful tool. I had a lady one time come up to me out of nowhere. I know we got to probably go, but she just says, she walked up to me and I knew her, right? And she just goes, "Mitzi, I just want you to know I forgive you." And I looked at her like, "What are you talking about? What did I ever do to you?" That's all
yeah.
I thought about, right? Was me. And I'm going, and I remember like, again, internalizing going, why do I need to know? Because obviously I hurt her somewhere and she can let it go. Because I didn't do it intentionally. I know because I couldn't think of anything, but I wanted to have that fact. Like, what did I do? That's so wrong. And I'm like, wait, take a breath.
I I think that this is a great start for our second segment because now we're digging deep in internalizing some feelings, and then we'll be able to come back with our second segment with Mitzi Brown. Thanks.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara is back. Now let's spill the tea.
And we are back to our second segment of That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I greatly appreciate you being here. Currently, we're on the live, but if you were listening on air, it's on 100.5 and 790. And then anytime you can access That's What She Said on Spotify. While I have your attention here, if there is someone in your life who's creating that ripple effect for you, if someone has empowered you and you're thinking, hey, we need to highlight this person. We need to highlight this woman. And she's doing amazing things in the Great Lakes Bay region. Reach out to me. I'm extremely accessible here on Facebook, and then also in my email address, Malacara at alphamediausa.com. So let's get back. Let's dive into this again. We have Mitzi Brown with us, who was a current resident of the Great Lakes Bay region. She's contributed in large ways to the region, most recently with the Memorial Cup and the Saginaw Spirits. Wow. And then she just decided to retire. Okay. I organized, 1,000 people. I'm going to head out now. So welcome back. And thank you for joining us, Mitzi.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's just exactly how it was. I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
That's how I pictured it. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Retirement's good. Let's move. Let's pack up. Let's see what's next. Yeah.
Okay. So why did you move?
To get closer to my kids. So I have 4 kids. One is in Green Bay. I have a son there, James, and then Jane is in Chicago, and Tina with my 2 grandsons is in Paw Paw, and my youngest is still in Bay City, works for the Boys and Girls Club, and stuff. Kind of puts me in the middle, but closer to them grandsons. Not that my kids aren't mean a lot, but oh no, it is so great being I'm a Nona, so yeah, so great to be a Nona. Yeah.
That's
and my husband died just it'll be 2 years in January. So a lot of changes, and again, that's how I roll in a sense in my world. Like, it's an adventure. Keep don't be stagnant. Keep, and people say keep moving. I spend a lot of time alone now, right? Because it's different. And I kind of think the difference between being lonely and alone are way 2 different things. But a lot of people think if you're alone, you're lonely. And that's not true. Right?
So if you're alone, say that again.
So people, I believe, again, and when I say me, because this is how I thought, is if you're alone, it must mean you're lonely. But it's not really true, because now I'm alone. And I have bouts of loneliness, absolutely, but I'm not lonely. I spend a lot of time on me because I want to continue to love me. So being alone with me, I'm pretty cool to hang with. I'm all right.
I mean, honestly, I'd drive over and, have a cup of coffee with you.
Yeah.
So you think that the loneliness portion has exited because you have self-love?
Yeah, I do. And it's every day. It's not like it just leaves and never comes back, right? Because it's always knocking on that door. And one of the other reasons I moved in, again, like I said, a lot went on. Grief is just a nasty, terrible beast that everybody's going to go through. Everybody will, if they have not already. It's difficult, but I was our home was great, but I was building I almost say my own little castle and fortress, right? Because it was so safe in there. Yeah. And it was all the things I knew. And it's so cozy. And I don't ever have to leave. And then I'm like, wait, no, there's a whole world. Let's move. Don't. And if I believe in my heart, if I would not have moved, I would have continued to build that real strong fortress for myself, And I'm like, no, let's take all those memories and everything with me, because that's not that they're gone. And just remember, this is a building. It's a structure. I take what I need, and it all came with me. I mean, I'm really comfortable where I live. Hard making friends. That's the big thing.
We're going to dive into that soon. We're going to dive into that soon, because I feel like
advice on that one.
Exactly. So, you want advice on that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody out there has advice on how to make friends,
At
drop them in the
65 or
comments.
older. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay, at 65 or
yeah,
older,
yeah,
let me know. Let me
yeah,
know so I can pass it along.
yeah, please.
So, what is something that you do? My mind is filling with questions, by the way. So, what is something that you do daily now that you're living alone? What is something that helps you kind of comfort yourself and push you through the day?
I still have my routine, so that hasn't changed. I get up, I shower, I start my day just like I was going to work. I get up at 5:30. I'm dressed, I'm ready. I am not always in dress clothes, which is a bonus, right? I can wear my leggings, and I put out a sweater today. Earrings too, just so you know. But a little bit of dress up for me. I will watch the news like I normally do, but then my TV goes off. I'm not on social media, and sometimes time just goes by and I just sit. It's so weird. It's so not Mitzi. It's so not anything. 3 years ago, if you asked me, do you ever sit by yourself? I'd be like, hell no. Who does that? Right. And now again, it's like I will just sit and I'll look and I go, oh my God, an hour went by. What did I even think? What was in my head? And I sometimes I don't even know. And I'm just like, that's what it's like to just be.
Is that okay with you?
It is. It is. It's weird. I would never know this, like I said a few years ago, but I'm okay. And then I go outside and I walk and I do things like that, or whatever. And then I listen to music. I do crossword puzzles. I was kind of thinking, should I try? Because winter's coming. I'm like, should I do a jigsaw puzzle? And I'm like, oh, good God, no, I do not like. I can't fit into a puzzle. Why would I think I could put one together? So I'm out. I was out. Yeah, so I'm working on it. Gonna go do some volunteering, but no, on a daily basis, it's quiet and I'm all right. I think it's a great lesson that I'm learning because I've been noisy and loud all my life, and so to be, it's empowering me to find out like what is next for me. I guess maybe too. I'm not sure. I'll let you know how it ends.
A quiet Italian. I
Yeah.
don't believe it. I think I'm gonna have to come over now and get some coffee.
It's so true. My family would probably all disagree, but I don't know. It just, it's true though, because my kids will say sometimes that we'll be together and they'll go, Mom, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah. And they'll go, really? And I go, yeah. So I know they see something they have never seen and they look at it like I don't want to say happy. I'm not me, and stuff.
The
But
new you.
yeah,
It's the new you. So
yeah.
let's talk about this new you because we had a conversation, full disclosure with everyone that's listening. Mitzi and I had a conversation over the phone, and she let me know that before the Memorial Cup, she lost her husband. And that, you know, that is something that can throw your entire life trajectory off. And it's how you deal with that next step. So how did you deal with that next step?
Uh, it's I'm still dealing. So just so that I don't know if there's ever really an end. I don't know that yet. It's you have people around you that are there for you, which is great, but there's all this internal um, loneliness, anger, and it's not like I was mad that he died. I was mad because again, here's now that changes. I'm not the one embracing the change. It just happened to me. Like, you heard me say I love change. It's like, yeah. But I had all this sadness and whoa, like, wait a minute. We had plans, kids are old enough now. We were not worrying about them. They had families. They were all married. We had big, fun, exciting things that we were planning, right, to do. And then it was gone, So I think, again, it's just the tools that I always had. Like, wait a minute, you got to start looking at this like it's an adventure. There are going to be good days, there are going to be bad days. And when you have a bad day and you don't want to get out of bed, it's all right. Be sad. Be sad. Watch Lifetime Movie Network. Cry. It's all right. Just dive in, and I don't put on a brave front for anybody, which is an interesting thing. People say, how are you? And I'll go, yeah, not good. And some people will be like, oh, crap. Ugh. And then and I'm guilty because I would do it too, because I want everybody to be happy. So I'd be like, oh, it'll get better. Do you want some lunch? Want to go to lunch? I try to fix it. Um,
Lunch is helpful. Friends are helpful.
yes.
But like we had said, is, when someone says, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And then, maybe I caught you on a bad day.
Yeah.
And you're like, "You know what? Actually, Christiana, today sucks. It
Yeah.
took me an hour and a half to get out of bed. All I can think about is this, and I'm pushing through it." What is usually the reaction from someone when you give them that example? Like, "Today I'm not feeling up to par." I can't give you the, "Hey, good, how are you?"
They a lot. It's oh, oh, it'll get better. Do you want some water? Hey, the sun's shining, all the things you already know, right? Yeah, I know the sun's shining, and today I'd rather have it be rainy. I mean, I'm just having that day. Um, it takes quite a bit of people. It's again, there's that empowering piece to where, and I struggle with it. When somebody is sad, to just sit. I don't want to sit with sadness. I don't want to sit with my own sadness. Or when I'm having a bad day, I want to make it better because I think that's my job, but it's not. I think my job is more to just agree and just go, God, your day sounds like it started out pretty bad. Yeah.
Does faith play a role into those days?
Mm, faith in myself more than faith in God, I think sometimes, and again, but then I go back to my roots and I go, all right, who's really behind all of it, but,
You're picturing that nun.
yeah, I got to get rid of all those nightmares. No, I'm just kidding. But I think again, it's like that faith in me that no, this is new, right? This is all new. This is an adventure, and yeah, and I've learned to be. It's okay to be sad, as opposed to people like I was raised on suck it up, buttercup, pull up your bootstraps. You got nothing to be sad about. I those were all the things that the bullies or whatever you say, those bubbles that just pop into your head. That's how I was raised, and now it's like, no, I don't have to pull up my bootstraps. I'm all right. Then I like it. I do because it doesn't happen very often. I just read this little tip. Somebody said that for grief, they go into the picture box and they look at pictures like once a week and just say, I'm just going to ugly cry. So I goes, oh, is that how you can get rid of it? Like, is there again, I still jump in like, there's a magic potion out there. So today's my day. So I did. I was looking at pictures and didn't shed one tear, not one. Was just looking at it all going, that was, oh my God, what year was that? Good thing I wrote the year on the back of this picture because it's so old. I'm going, oh, where were we? And things like that. So it was a good
So
thing.
if you're getting a tip from Mitzi Brown right now, it's to write the year on the back of your pictures if
Oh,
we
yeah.
print
No,
them.
now it's all social media. It all comes to you.
It's all digital.
Yeah, it's all
So
digital.
what were some of those plans that you did have with your husband, and how are you pushing through them? Are we still gonna go to the Grand Canyon with the kids? Is there anything in the works there?
I don't know. I was funny. I journal a lot. Always have journaled too. So that's been my tool all through motherhood. I've journaled, and each one of my kids have books that I wrote to them since the time they were born. Um, but I did. I knew upon retirement. So, and me turning 65, which I turned 65 in October, we were planning a trip somewhere. I don't know where, but I do know where he would want to go. He would want to go back to Hawaii because that's where we honeymooned. Um, and that, so I was thinking, I goes, do I ever want to go back to Hawaii? Like, and there's this thing again that, again, I fight the system because, like, oh, in memory of, and I'm like, bullshit. Sorry. I was just going to swear. So sorry. But I'm like, I don't want to live in memoriam. I want to live now. And like, so yeah, together went to Hawaii, but maybe I don't go to Hawaii because I don't, in my head, I'm building it up like going, well, Chris wouldn't be there. So it's just an island.
Mhm.
But you do these things in your head going, oh, but he would love to go. And I'm like, but no, he's not going. It's just all these, grief is a trauma. Ugh, it's just a thing. It's a mess. That's a whole nother radio show someday.
I really appreciate the fact that you said it's okay to be sad. Some days it's okay to feel that, because you're feeling that for yourself.
Mhm.
Sometimes in life, like we had said earlier, you need a partner regardless, and sometimes that's a friend. So here we go. Um, when you left the Great Lakes Bay region, you left a lot of friends back here too.
Yes.
So what are things that you're doing to stay connected with your community here?
Well, I talk to my friends, but again, here's the other thing, Christiana, is the fact that they're still working. So I don't see them in like, like I have friends who I was friends with that I worked with, but like running to get a coffee, I'm not going to run into you. Right. So you don't even have that going, oh my God, how are you? Hey, I saw that Facebook post, I see your grandmother again or whatever. You don't see those people to connect. So it's different. It's a struggle. It's phone calls, a little bit here and there, trying to stay in touch, but it is, I just found out I think I'm gonna do it. I don't know. I'm a little nervous, but they make Bumbles for friends. Bumble for friends. So you can do that, an app, Bumble, to make friends. I might do it. I don't know. It asked for my picture, and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Oh my, okay. All right. We're scheduling this coffee date because I will take a picture with you. I have a wonderful camera. Okay. So Bumble for Friends
Yeah.
is the thing.
Yes.
But also, so is like just talking to strangers. Have you ever do you ever build up the confidence to do that? I feel like it's a yes. I'm already giving you the answer, but I mean, when you're putting yourself out there, what are some of the plans?
Well, I'm working on that plan. I really am. I looked into volunteering. I did, I just lost it. You might help me out because you lived here out front, the LGBTQ organization and stuff. I sat on the board for Great Lakes Bay Pride. So that was the first one I filled out applications for. So to volunteer, to be face to face. And remember, I'm retired. So when I go to a coffee shop now, everybody's rushing in and out because they got to go to work. So there's that little, and that to where, so it's a whole different networking piece I got to figure out where are my people? Not that they have to be old, but where do I find people? It's so weird because like I've done a couple of things. I live in apartments, so I'm not a homeowner anymore. And I've done a couple of things in my complex. I met a couple of people and I'll say, hey, let's grab a coffee. And, and I text and they're like, yeah, like, hey, I'm heading home for the holidays, and I work all these days. I go, all right, well, let me know when it works. I says, I'm just over here. So it's, yeah. So it's just a whole different thing, there was a program I wanted to start years ago with United Way. And what did I call it? Oh, I called this the prime timers. I wasn't a prime timer at the time, but that's right. I'm in the prime of my life right now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
My responsibilities are pretty much me, which is so fabulous. It's so free. It's like a teenager with money.
Okay, so I have to put this little plug in. There's this TikTok thread. I don't know if you're on TikTok. You said you weren't on social media. So there's this TikTok thread and it says, I forgot that I'm an adult that makes money and this is the dumb thing that I bought. And then they showcase this ridiculous, like it's a vending machine of gummy bears or something, so I feel like this is the same vibe here. You're just like, hey, the what does that saying? The world is my oyster, you're like, I can do anything. I can travel anywhere because I have this new outlook, this brand new chapter. So you had to turn a page to get to this new chapter. How hard was it for you to turn that page and say, this is done, this is next?
I don't think I've completely turned the page, but I'm working on it. I am, because when I do new things, the person, it's crazy. Like everybody used to say, you're so independent. Like me and Chris had a great relationship. It was imperfectly perfect for us. We were not the perfect couple. But we made it work. We worked at it and we did well. Had our struggles and all that stuff, but he was also, I thought I was pretty independent, but then when he died, I realized I was independent because my biggest cheerleader gave me that independence. So when we talk about empowerment, like he was that guy. Like, I mean, like if I got laid off from a job, I would come home just depleted. And he would say this to me all the time. He'll go, hey, they're lost. You wait. There's somebody out there. They're going to hire you and they're going to be so damn glad they hired you because you are everything. You can take any business, any Fortune 500 company and take them to the top. And I'd be like, yeah. But he was that guy, right? That, and after many applications and he would just knew when to rah-rah and when to say, hey, don't worry, we're fine. Cause or whatever. So that the page turning is very slow. So like my first time I drove in the snow down to see my kids when I was in Bay City, who's the guy that talked me through the snowstorm. He did. He was the guy that would just listen. And he'd go, you got this. And I go, I don't know. It's really snowing. And I'm, and I'd be all, but he would just be there, So I've learned stronger how to empower myself even more. And I tell you what, when I do it, I am so proud of me. When I get done, I'm going, oh my God, I did it. I did the snow and I didn't have to call anybody. Or I drove to Green Bay. That's only like 4 hours from me.
Yeah.
But it was uncharted territory. And what if my car breaks down? Who do I call? I mean, Christiana, I had to learn how to pump gas when Chris died. So,
New territory.
Yeah.
New
So
territory.
So life stuff and everything, and I mean, he took care of the money. So I had to learn so many new things. And so I grab those as little nuggets sometimes and just go, I did it, or I'm doing it. It's a success.
So when you lose your number one cheerleader, you essentially had to be your own cheerleader.
Yep.
And internalize, okay, well, what would my husband, what would Chris think? What would he say to me right now? What would he think about me going through this situation? How are you doing that for your kids and your grandkids?
It's interesting because I tell them all the time. It's funny. My daughter's a teacher in not in Papa, Lawton. And I told her she should be a principal. That's what she did a master's in. And I said, you were a born leader. And now her principal's saying the same thing. If you ever want to jump in, and I just look at her and I go, yeah, be it, lead. You're born to lead. My other daughter, she's an attorney for the Teamsters local in Chicago. A lot of work, a lot of pressure. But I tell her too, like, she's kind of got, I think it was pneumonia. I said, take care of you. You have to. The world, my dad used to tell me, he go, babe, your mailbox is going to be full even the day you die. And people will pause. They will pause, right? Because you hope you have that impact that people just pause and share a story, but they all got to do something the next day, right?
You are empowering strong women in your own circle right there, your daughters. This is phenomenal. How is it that how did they take this shift for you when their dad passed?
I think like I felt, and I still think they do, they kind of mother me. So that role kind of switched. So they're making sure, like, they'll say, Mom, what did you eat? You're not eating, you need to do this, So they kind of it's weird how that happens. Never thought that would in my life, right? So they kind of, which I'm glad they did, because I needed it too, right? Somebody to kind of look out for me, because I couldn't really do it yet for myself. And that's that sadness that just takes over you. You just, ride the wave, and then you go 6 feet under the wave, and it just, yeah. But then now now they're saying, no, you just go, Mom. Like, they'll just go. And I go, okay. I mean, I went to Ireland, Scotland, and England for a wedding. I have traveled alone before, but now I'm really traveling alone. Like, I went with a friend, but Chris was home to take care of all the things.
It's for you. You're doing it for you and not yourself.
Yeah.
So
and if the world fell apart here, I was like, all right.
I love this eat your dessert first method. So if there is one piece of advice in the next couple seconds here, what would you say to a woman in the region?
I kind of was, when you told me that I would be asked it, this, the one thing like my mom, I was raised to do this even as a young kid, and trust me, I was gawky. She would say, you need to look in the mirror and you need to start your day and you need to say, I love me. And you might have to say it 10 times and still not believe it because you got to go, but start your day. Look in the mirror and just say, I love me.
That's fantastic. And that's a great piece of advice. Thank you very much, Mitzi Brown, because that's what she said.